Hello again, you lovely people. I am here with the fourth part of my Daniel's Four Beasts videos. And you can see right now I'm on my channel, and this is the playlist of the first three videos. I wanted to start this video by giving you a little trick, something that you can do to speed up, because I realized that we only have 24 hours in a day. This is a little trick that I learned a little bit ago as I was starting to research more. You can actually get through videos a lot more quickly, and that way you can get all the information that you need in like half the time. Okay, so let me show you how to do this. This is my own personal YouTube channel, but I just want to show you this. If you touch the screen of whatever video, you're going to see the play button and some other icons pop up at the top. Go to the top right-hand corner where there's a little gear shape and hit that. And you're going to see this list of options pop up. Go to the word playback speed, and you're going to see different speeds by which you can play the videos. Okay, I try to speak as clearly and methodically as possible so that if you want to play at a normal speed, you can understand. Oops, and I try to pay attention to, okay? But you could also play me at 2 times the speed and still understand what I'm saying, what's going on. So I might be dead wrong, but I feel like I have a lot of compelling evidence as to why this prophecy may be coming true. So, okay, so you can see an example there. You can understand everything I'm saying. If that's still too fast for you though, but you want to play it at a faster speed, you could pick, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75. And even if you play it at 1.5, you can get through a 40-minute video in 30 minutes. But if you play it at 2 times the speed, you can get through it in 20 minutes. So that's just a little trick that I learned a few years ago, and it's really helped me to be able to research more information in a smaller amount of time. So I hope that helps you. All right, so let's get into today's video. I'm continuing the discussion of Daniel 7, especially talking about the 4 beasts of Daniel 7. But I realized that in my prior videos, I've done a lot of this, okay? A lot of scrolling up and down and pointing out different verses in the chapter. The reason I've done that is for the sake of time, because I am trying to relay the information that I want you to see. But I realize in so doing, you don't really get the context of the chapter. And while it is possible for you to read Daniel 7 yourself, I also realize that most people don't do that. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and go through this entire chapter. The reason being, because I want you to see that I'm not holding cards up my sleeve, okay? I'm trying to look at this entire chapter in context and looking at the words and not trying to add to their meaning, but trying to take everything as literally as possible and as biblically as possible. So in this video, I'm going to actually read through the whole chapter and add my commentary where I feel like it needs to be, but I want you to see the entire chapter in context. And then I'll build on interpretation of this prophecy in future videos. But I felt like this was important to do. All right, so the first verse is like this. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. And as I've said in prior videos, the reason I bring this up is because we're given a date that this is in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. And we know from our modern dating methods that that was sometime around the year 550 BC. So in other words, that was 2,500 years ago at least. And the reason I bring that up is to prove to you God's sovereignty. So even if my interpretations of this passage are incorrect, they mean something, okay? And they mean something that hasn't happened up until this point. So that means God's in control. If he can tell the future several millennia in the future and tell his people those prophecies, then God is in control, ultimately. That's what that tells me. All right, verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens, strove upon the great sea. And again, these are 4 spiritual beings that are striving, that are bringing forth something out of the great sea. And as I've said time and again, the great sea, in terms of Revelation 17:15, are the peoples, multitudes, and nations. So these angelic spiritual beings are bringing about four humans from the sea of humans. Okay? All right. So, and we can see that here, that these are the 4 great beasts came up from the sea. And then notice this wording here. They are different from one another. Okay, this is a repeated phrase throughout the chapter, and it's really important to understand, especially if you look at my 3rd video where I explain to you why I don't hold to the mainstream interpretation of Daniel 7, being that the lion is England, the bear is Russia, and the leopard is Germany, because that interpretation says that the 4th beast actually is working with these 3 beasts. But the Bible doesn't say that these 3 beasts join with the 4th beast. The Bible says that the 4 beasts are all completely different. And that's really important. And he repeats it at least 2 more times in this chapter. So when God says a thing, it's important, but if he repeats it, it's very important that we understand that these beasts are different from one another. Okay, so the first one was like a lion and had eagle's wings, and I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And as I said in prior videos, I believe that this lion is Donald Trump, and as I come across things in my own research, I'm going to add them into these videos. So right now I'm going to take a break from reading to show you this video. This is a video, sorry, I'm on Telegram, so I get notifications popping up. This is a video that Donald Trump actually posted to his Truth social page, and it was also played at one of his most recent rallies, and I just want you to see it, okay? And I want to play it at a faster rate so that we can get through it a little more quickly. But just listen to what's being said. This is a speech from the movie Pool Hall Junkies.
Look at this lion.
Okay, Pool Hall Junkies by Christopher Walken is this speech. And so just listen to it.
Look at this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's so big. He's so hot. Now, the little lion comes, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming over, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this, and they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
So I apologize, there was a bad word in that. But anyway, I just wanted you to see that someone in Trump's team thinks that Trump is a lion. It's a repeated theme when it comes to Donald Trump. So anyway, there's that. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. As I've said in past videos, I believe this is Vladimir Putin. And so watch my prior videos to find out why I think that. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. And I believe this is Xi Jinping. So watch my first 3 videos to find out why I think that is the leader of China. All right. Now, as I pointed out in the 3rd video, according to Revelation 13:2, this 4th beast is not a conglomeration of the first 3 beasts, but he does take on 3 aspects of the former beasts. So if you read Revelation 13:2, you know that the fourth beast is like a leopard. It has feet of a bear, and it has the mouth of a lion. Okay, so it takes on three aspects of the three former beasts. But let's now look at the fourth beast. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Okay, so we're told several things about this beast. It's dreadful and terrible. It's really strong. It has iron teeth, which is interesting. Okay? And then it devours and breaks in pieces and then stamps what's left. Okay, so it devours and breaks everything into pieces, and then it stamps whatever is left over with its feet. Remember, it has the feet of the bear, and the bear up here is given the command that it's allowed to devour much flesh. Okay, so it's acting in that the feet are acting like the feet of the bear. And it's diverse from all the beasts that were before it. Okay, so again, this is different from the other three beasts. So the three beasts, former beasts, are not added to this beast because this beast is completely different from the other beasts. Okay, so in other words, all the beasts are different from each other, but then this fourth beast is even more different from all the other beasts. Okay? So they're all different, but this one is especially different. And also it has 10 horns, which we'll look at more. What are those 10 horns? I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. The word great there means pompous words. Okay, so if you read Revelation 13, you will learn that this is the first beast mentioned, and I believe that this little horn is in reference to the second beast that kind of works in tandem with the first beast, and we're given some details about it here. It's a little horn, and okay, before the little horn comes on the scene, there are 10 horns to this first beast. The fourth beast, but it's the first beast in Revelation. So, sorry, I know all these beasts, it gets confusing. But anyway, on this evil beast, there are 10 horns. And then after that guy comes on the scene, there's a little horn who is going to take down 3 of those 10 horns. So that means that then there will be 7 plus this little horn. So there will be 8 horns. And they're going to be plucked up by the roots. Okay, we're also told that this little horn has eyes like the eyes of man, and it also has a mouth on it. It speaks pompous things. Okay, so those are some details about the little horn. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Okay, so Daniel is getting this really terrible picture of the 4 beasts, but especially of this fourth beast, and it's very terrifying and scary. So verse 9 comes in now to let you know that even though it's going to get really dark, God is there on his throne. He's not just passively watching, you know. He is getting ready for something. And his throne is fiery, and the wheels, it's like he's on a chariot. It's like his throne is a chariot. It's like burning fire. Okay, he's getting ready for something. Let's see verse 10, what that is. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment seat was set, and the books were opened. What does that mean? The judgment is the court. The court was seated. Okay, so God's not sitting passively in heaven watching this happen. He has thousands upon thousands of witnesses and ministering spirits, ministering to him. But the important thing here is that he's getting his courtroom ready. There's going to be a reckoning, and he's going to open those books of judgment by which the beast and his minions are violating the laws. So he's readying his courtroom. All right. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. So don't worry, guys. Even though the beast is a bad guy, he is going to get his comeuppance. And even that little horn, who is just this little upstart speaking pompous words, like, they're all going to go down in burning flame. So that's your comfort, okay? God is going to get the upper hand. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. And I referred to this verse in prior videos as talking about those first three beasts. The first three beasts are not going to rule anymore, okay? So that's why I don't believe that the explanation that England, Russia, and Germany are going to then meld themselves into this fourth beast with the 10 horns and all that. They're not going to be in power anymore. They're going to have their dominions taken away. Yet, and this is a really strange thing to say, that their lives will be prolonged for a season and a time. So this means that they're not going to die. They will be here on the planet, and God has them set aside for a certain purpose. What is that purpose? I have no idea. But all I'm telling you is that the Bible says it. Okay? So if this is Trump, Putin, and Xi, then God has their lives set aside for some kind of reason. I don't know what that is, but, and if this is talking about England, Russia, and Germany, then this is also saying that they're not going to be ruling anymore and that they're going to be set aside for something. There's something else that they're meant to do before God completely ends time. Okay? So that's just something to think about. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Okay, so Son of Man, anytime you see that, especially with a capital S, you're referring to Jesus Christ. Okay, he's coming in the clouds of heaven, and the Ancient of Days is typically, we understand that to be the Father, and the Father sits on his throne in heaven. That's who this guy right here, the Ancient of Days, did sit. That's the Father sitting on the throne. So these thousand of ministering spirits, then what they do is they bring Jesus Christ before the Father. And they do that because, verse 14, there was given to him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So these spirits are bringing Christ before the Father because the Father is going to bestow the earth, the dominion, to Jesus Christ, and he's going to rule. And you can read more about that in Revelation 20. All right? So that's very, very hopeful right there. All right, verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. Yeah, no kidding. Like, this stuff is pretty creepy and scary, and it can be pretty heavy. So Daniel's grieved. So here's the thing to realize from this. The end times. Nobody wants to think about the end times. They're scary and dark, right? But it doesn't mean that you don't have faith if you're scared of it, because even Daniel, who was a man of God, was scared of the things he was seeing. And he wasn't even going to partake in them, right? He's getting scared on our behalf, or whoever is around here at the actual end times when it all comes down. He's grieved in his spirit about it. So, yeah, you're allowed to be scared, but you just don't let that fear dictate what you're going to do about it, okay? So think about that. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and he made me know the interpretation of the things. Okay, so who's this one that he comes near to? Probably one of those thousands that's sitting around the throne. You know, Daniel approaches and comes near to one of those guys and asks this spirit being to interpret what he's seeing. And so the spirit being tells him that these great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. And so I've referenced this verse before, but now you get to see the context in which it comes from. This is the interpretation being given about this vision, that these beasts are four kings. Okay? And the footnote says representing their kingdoms. The word literally means, as I've said before, king, melech. It's a guy. It's a dude. These are four dudes that are going to arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So not only does Jesus Christ get dominion of the earth, he gives the saints possession of this kingdom forever and ever. So that's the awesome thing about Christ, is that when he rules, he doesn't cram down his authority. He actually creates a system of true freedom, and he gives us we are partakers with Christ. You know, the Apostle Paul tells us that we are co-heirs with Christ. We're partakers in his kingdom. And I don't know why God would give possession of the kingdom to people, because we are so stupid and unworthy. But for some reason, God sees in us a value that when we align our spirit with his, he then negates our sin and our fallen nature, because we have believed in the person and work of Jesus Christ, who is fully God and fully man, coming to die as a man on the cross, taking all of our, paying the payment for sin. Okay, what is that payment? Remember, God is in this courtroom, right? He has the courtroom set. So you are made blameless in that courtroom because you have accepted the person and work of Christ. Okay, so if you haven't, please do that, because the end times are going to happen with or without you, and it would just really be great if you could possess part of the kingdom as well, you know. And I don't say this in terms of like a selfish, I want to possess the kingdom, so I'm going to become a Christian. I mean this as this world has trouble that you deal with, but you live in the hope of knowing that not only is heaven something that is in the future whenever you die or whenever God's kingdom comes to earth, but you can be living in the kingdom right now. And that's how you are supposed to be. That's actually what you are made to do. You are made to be a possessor of the kingdom and living in the kingdom by turning your life over to Christ and repenting of your sin and living a life in that newness of life and walking with him for the rest of your days. Okay? All right. Verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was, what does this say? Was different from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Okay, so a few things here. Obviously, he's saying this again, that not only are the four beasts different from each other, but this one is even more different from the other first three. Okay, we've heard this before, that he's exceeding dreadful. We've also heard that his teeth are of iron. We've also heard that he devours and breaks things in pieces and stamps whatever's left with his feet. But in this verse, we add the nails of brass. He has nails of brass. That's significant, and I will try to point this out in a future video. But anyway, just keep that in mind for now. This is a description of the fourth beast again. And of the 10 horns that were on his head, and of the other which came up, that's the little horn, remember? The little horn which came up, and before whom the 3 fell. Okay, remember the little horn comes up, and then 3 of those 10 horns fall. Even of that horn that had eyes, Remember, the earlier verse said he has eyes like a man, and a mouth that speaks very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. This means greater. Okay, so even though this guy is the little horn, whatever that means, somehow he's greater than his associates, which I'm assuming are the other horns. Which, okay, so again, you have 10 horns and then 3 of them fall, so you have 7 horns. And you have this little horn, and somehow that little horn is going to be greater than the 7 remaining horns. Okay, so again, I believe the little horn is that second beast in Revelation 13 that works in tandem with the first beast. And there you go. Okay, so moving on. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. So this is in reference to the tribulation, which is, again, Revelation 13, it talks about these 2 beasts. Both of them are on the scene for 3.5 years. And so 2 times 3.5 is 7. So that's why people say there's a 7-year tribulation. Some people, and you will find this in all Christian circles, people will talk about being pre-trib, mid-trib, or post-trib. And this means people who are pre-trib believe that all Christians will be raptured. Maybe you've heard of the rapture, that the Christians will be raptured off the planet or off the earth before the tribulation. Then some people believe that in the middle of the exchange between the 2 beasts, at that 3.5 year period in the middle, that the Christians will be raptured there. And then some people believe that no, we're here for the whole thing. So this verse actually tends to seem like post-trib is the accurate thought, because how can the horn make war with the saints if they've all been raptured off the earth before the tribulation? Unless this means that God raptures those who are Christians before the tribulation. He gets them off the planet. And then people who are on the planet during the tribulation come across scripture and become saints during the tribulation. And then they have to contend with this beast. And that's who he's prevailing against. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. But either way, he's going to prevail against the saints. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be really hard not to take the mark of the beast, right? And that's part of like what's making war with the saints, is making everyone take this mark of the beast. Okay, so these are things that we just need to be thinking about and be aware of so that we are not caught unawares. Verse 22, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So again, Daniel's kind of talking in circles. He's going back and forth like the beast's going to be on the scene, but then God is going to come and end his reign and destroy him, and then the saints will be given possession. He keeps kind of flip-flopping back and forth here in this thing to give you a heads up, and a hope and a promise that God has everything under control. Even when it starts to get really scary, God's still in control right here, okay? Thus he said, the 4th beast, now this is really important, okay? The 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Okay, so wait a second, Jessica. You said that all the beasts are kings, but the Bible is clearly saying that this 4th beast is a kingdom. Okay, well, yeah, that's true, because the beast is made up of those 10 horns, and then ultimately 8 horns. Let's look at verse 24 really quick, and I'll come back. The 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings, okay? So that's why this is a kingdom, is because this beast has 10 horns. That makes it a kingdom. So it's a bunch of these kings reigning together. It's like a corporation, as it were, okay? So yeah, you're still dealing with humans that have sold themselves over to the devil. But as far as an organization or a conglomeration or a kingdom, that's why this is a kingdom. The fourth beast is related to this, okay? And that's also why this beast is different from everything else, not only from the prior beasts, but from all kingdoms ever. Okay? This word all is not just talking about the prior beasts. This is talking about all kingdoms from all time. The word all means every single one, every single kingdom from before. So not only is this beast different from the prior beasts, it's also different from every kingdom that's come before it. And it will devour the whole earth and tread it down and break it in pieces. Okay, now, I think you might be thinking about something from my past video about the fourth kingdom upon the earth, and people talk about the Fourth Reich. And I could see why people would come to that conclusion because it sounds like it's right. The fourth kingdom, the Fourth Reich, oh, isn't that like the fourth kingdom on the earth? And so the Bible's talking about a fourth kingdom. We know the Fourth Reich is the fourth kingdom. So, maybe that's what this is talking about. Okay, I don't think it is, and let me show you why. Okay, so I looked up the Third Reich, and according to this Encyclopedia Britannica, the Third Reich is the Nazi designation for the regime in Germany from January 33 to 45. Okay, so that's the Third Reich. The modern Holy Roman Empire from 800 to 806 was the First Reich. And the German Empire of 1871 to 1918 was the Second Reich. Okay, so my question though is, were there no other kingdoms on the planet before 800 AD? Because I'm pretty sure there were tons of kingdoms on the planet. Like, read the Old Testament. The entire Old Testament is before Christ. And then the Holy Roman Empire comes 800 years after Christ. So this is why I don't think it's the Reichs, because, you know, there were kingdoms on the earth for thousands of years before Christ. So I think this is talking about something else because it talks about the fourth kingdom upon the earth. Okay? So ever since the beginning of recorded history, or even before recorded history, we're talking about 4 main kingdoms that have been on the earth ever, I think, is what this is talking about. I mean, it could be talking about the Fourth Reich, in which case I'm wrong, but I believe that there were kingdoms on the planet before 800 AD, and so that's why I think this is talking about something else, and I'll get to that in a future video. But anyway, I'm just letting you know that. All right. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So we know that this another is that little horn who is, and this points out that this little horn is different even from the 10 horns. Okay? So the beast arises with 10 horns, and then this little horn comes up, and he's different still. Everybody who comes next is different from everybody else who's come, you know? Are you seeing, like, at least see that pattern? All right, and let's see. So that's what that's talking about, is the little horn again. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. We've heard all of this before, but he's repeating it, so that means he really wants you to get it in your head, that this little horn is going to be really mean to the saints of God. He's going to speak against him. He's going to wear them out and think to change times and laws. Okay, this is interesting. This is new. We'll get there in a second. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of a time. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about this is a new piece of information being added in, that this little horn is going to try to change times and laws. Think about the people in power who are able to manipulate the weather and even manipulate food sources, and think about how massively that controls your life. You know, people who can control the gas prices and can control fuel in general. Like, think about how much control they have over you, but think about if somebody was able to change times and laws. Like, if you have a power that can change the time and the laws, like, you are done. Like, you are doner than done. Civilization is completely over. And it's no wonder why the beast would want to change the times, because think about the year right now is 2022. Okay? It's 2022 years since what? Like, there's only one event that happened 2022 years ago, give or take maybe 5 years, and that was the coming of Christ. Okay? Our time currently is dictated around the person of Jesus Christ coming on the scene. So, of course, the beast wants to change the times, because our time is literally, it revolves around Christ. And then think about laws. I mean, at this point, think about something like the Constitution of the United States is basically just a piece of paper at this point, because nobody follows it. But when you think of laws, you might think of the 10 Commandments, which are the 10 laws given by God for us to follow in order to maintain righteousness on the planet. Okay? And of course, we can't follow those 10. You know, that's why we need to rely on believing in Christ and trusting in him, because only he can and we can't. Anyway, if you're going to change the 10 Commandments, it's just going to be chaos, right? So anyways, that's just something to think about there. All right, now let's come down to these words, time and times and dividing of time. The word time here actually can be translated year, okay? And so most people translate it year, 1 year plus 2 years, and then dividing of time means half a time. So half a year, okay? So this is why people talk about the tribulation period being divided into two, of 1 year plus 2 year plus 3.5 years. And again, this is talking about that little horn who is the second beast of Revelation. So he comes on the scene for a time and times in half a time. And so 2 times that is 7 years, 7-year tribulation, blah, blah, blah. That's what that means. Okay. Verse 26, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume it and to destroy it unto the end. Okay, so once again, God is sitting on his throne. He has his court ready. And when the court, when the beast is indicted and he's there before God on the court, guess what? His complete dominion will be consumed and destroyed, because he will be found guilty, because he's trying to change the times and the laws, and because he makes war against the saints of God. Like, you're not going to rule forever if that's your game. All right. So he will be destroyed, and rightly so. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So I think this is kind of interesting. It says all dominions. Okay, wait a second. We're talking about the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven. This is talking about earth. Okay, the heaven is the sky. I mean, it could also be heaven where God lives, but the kingdom and dominion is given to the saints, but then all dominions are going to serve and obey him. So I wonder what that means. That's a whole rabbit hole you could unpack, but we're not going to do it in this video. But anyways, I just think that's interesting, so I pointed it out. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So basically, Daniel's like, y'all, I really feel like I needed to write this down and tell y'all about it. I really don't want to be here for this because it's really troubling. I'm going to write it down. Like, you know, when people say on social media and they'll post something and they say, I'm just going to leave this here. You know, and it's always something like kind of provocative that makes you think. And it's kind of funny to say it that way. So that's kind of what Daniel's saying. Like, I got this vision. I don't know exactly what everything means in it, but I'm just going to leave it here. Okay? I'm going to leave it here between the story about me in the lion's den and then Daniel 8, where there's a prophecy about Alexander the Great. Okay? I'm just going to leave it here in Daniel 7. and y'all just pay attention to it. And when it starts to come true, pay attention and follow God's directions, right? Okay, so that was my read through of this chapter. I hope it kind of puts things more in context. And then I'm going to come back and talk more about what I think this fourth beast is connected to, and more things to kind of pay attention to in current events as far as this fourth beast. And again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just seeing things that kind of correlate. So I wonder if this is what it's talking about. So please stay tuned, because I think it's interesting. But anyway, I really do appreciate that you are watching and waiting and trying to decide these things for yourself. And I just pray for you, and that God will reveal himself to you in a way that he never has before, and that maybe you've never let him before, that you would just allow him to speak to you in your life and direct your paths. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned.